You know, it's funny because you got a lot of birdie holes here. You got a ton of birdie holes here, but you have some really tough holes. And if you could just get out of position on these greens or in the fairway, or not in the fairway, in the rough, you're going to pay the price more than likely. So, you know, you got to be really careful here. I'm actually kind of surprised that 300 is low, but we'll see what happens. But I think they're a little dodgy with how they're. Got the greens. They're really not up to speed. I'm sure they want to have them because of the heat, and I'm really surprised how brown they got it. You know, they really changed colors just in the last day or so. They're completely different. And I had one really strange. I was playing for a hard bounce all day, and especially as the round went. And then on 16, I was afraid to land one in a, you know, too far back in there, so I take a 6-iron on 16, and it actually sat in its ball mark. And then Hale landed about 3 yards past me, and I fixed his ball mark. It was like fixing my concrete, and his ball went to the back. So it just depends where you land on some of these brown spots, and that's probably going to be the case the rest of the week. It can be a little tricky. Yeah, and then 17, you know, 2 of us spun it all the way back, so it's you know, playing a little tricky in spots, but you know, that's what you get.
Speaking of that separation, what do you need to do to separate from all these guys at the top of the leaderboard tomorrow?
Well, you know, eventually, you know, we'll get some separation from that. But you know, overall, in the as the rounds go, you're not going to see that many tied for the lead. I don't think. I mean, you might. I think a couple of guys will take off and separate themselves a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I mean, you got to have, what did you say, 8 guys? You have 300. That's a lot, obviously. But how many guys are under par?
19.
19 under par. Okay.
Last time I looked, there were 42 guys within 4 shots.
Well, yeah, well that'll happen, and that's kind of, I think, the reason the golf course or the scores are like that, because you do have a lot of holes that are opportunities to make birdie. But with that being said, you should make par. And if you can get by the holes like, you know, what I consider 4, 8, 10, 12, 18 are the Mac Daddy holes that you got to get by, you got to be careful with. So those are the holes that are, if you par those or make a birdie somewhere on those, you're really catching up on the field. And just try to minimize your mistakes. You got to take advantage of the par 5s. You know, all 3 of them are reachable for most of these guys. And you know, you got to get those, but you got to be in position. Par 3s are really tricky and really good holes, so those are tough holes too. But you got a lot of opportunities out there. So I think the scores will be, if the greens if they keep them a little slower and a little softer, they will be harder to get that separation. I think that's the way it's going. It just won't play quite as difficult because balls won't be running out quite as much.
Will the ability to get